5,000 steps in a mile. You didn't count that at all?
Yeah.
So fun. I used to count my steps on campus just so something.
Once again, when you were born?
December the 16th, 1925 at Belton, Texas.
Okay, so 1925 is in the middle of the Depression in America. What do you remember about growing up in the 20s and 30s, the Depression?
I
Or in the
remember
30s is really...
a lot of things were rationed, and there were a lot of things we didn't have that we needed.
Like
and,
what? Like what couldn't you get that you wanted?
Well, you couldn't get hose, nylon stockings, and you had your shoes were rationed. You could have so many pair a year. Had to have a coupon before you could buy them. And I remember there were a lot of people that were going hungry because of the Depression. And we were very fortunate that we always had plenty of food, and because we had a garden and raised and canned and processed all of the excess vegetables and beef. I remember they planted crops, and then they were asked to plow part of them up for whatever reason, I don't know. It was something about the economy. And there were too many cattle. And I remember they come around, somebody, I presume the government people, and checked, and if you had too many cows or calves or whatever, they would kill those animals. And usually there were people in the family and neighborhood that if they had to kill a beef, they would take that, all get together and process that meat, cook it and put it in cans or jars and process it, and it would be food, you know.
So you were allowed to keep the food?
Yeah.
Yeah, even though they had to kill the cattle, you were allowed
Yeah.
to keep the food?
Yeah, you were allowed to keep the food, and I don't really know what was the reason that they were doing this, except maybe there wasn't enough food or, feed for them. I don't know.
So, did y'all have an electric refrigerator then?
No, we had an ice box.
That's what I was wondering.
It was like a chest wooden ice box.
Yeah. When
And
did you get electricity?
what?
When did you get electricity?
We didn't have electricity until I was about 14 or 15 years old. And I don't know what year that was. You have to do the math for yourself.
Did you have phones?
A phone? We didn't have a phone we never had a phone when I was at home.
Oh.
Daddy and them got a phone after I grew up, but we didn't have a phone, no.
Well, as children, what did y'all play?
What did we play?
Yeah, the whole bunch of y'all when y'all
We
would
played
play together.
kick the tin can,
Which you really did just kick a can?
right? You kick the can, and
then run
everybody
the
got in
race.
a circle, and somebody was it, and they ran and hid, and then you found them, and we used to play. We would have like a wagon wheel, a metal wagon wheel. The hub of it was a wheel, and you would take a tin lid and make a little gadget to hold it, and you would roll that thing down the hills, and we played hide and seek, and sometimes we'd play baseball if we had a ball.
Did y'all have dolls and like girly things, or it was more?
Did we have dogs?
Dolls.
Dolls.
Baby dolls.
Baby dolls.
Yeah, we had dolls.
So did the girls, when y'all were young, play with the dolls?
Yeah, the girls always had dolls, and they played dolls, yes. And sometimes for fun, we did what they call cut out paper dolls. Mm-hmm. Fold the paper, and you would cut out the shape of a doll, a girl or a boy, and holding hands, and you'd stretch that paper out, and it would be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we made like paper chains. We had to make our own paste. You made paste out of flour and water, and to paste those little round strips together.
Did you have jacks?
When we were older, yeah, we had jacks. We would play jacks sometimes. That was a luxury, because we always...
Pick up sticks?
Pick up sticks, I remember playing pick up sticks, but that was when I was probably a little older.
Yeah. So did y'all have sleepovers in your days?
No.
You didn't at a girlfriend's house, or?
Well, occasionally I would spend the night with a girlfriend, but it was not like a party. It was just like, you just go and spend the night with her. Yeah. And it wasn't more than one at one time, ever.
Yeah.
Did you ever lie to your parents? We should get the story on video. I know the real answer.
Did I ever lie to them?
Yeah, like maybe say you were going to go spend the night at a friend's house.
You
did something else?
I don't remember lying to them. Sometimes I avoided the truth.
And then you avoided the truth because you participated in what?
What are you talking
The
about?
play, when you were in the play and you
I know what you're getting
and
at.
you avoided the truth.
I just avoided the truth.
Well, tell us. I don't know what
I don't know what
you're
you're talking about either.
Well, when I was a senior, this was when I was a senior in high school, we had what you called a senior play. And I don't remember the name of the play, but I had a girlfriend that had a car, or her parents would let her use their car to go to play practice. And she would come by and pick up me, she and her sister. And then we had a couple of other girlfriends. And sometimes we would, after play practice was over, we would go to Belton, which was about 7 or 8 miles. And we would just cruise around. And, but our parents, I don't know if their parents knew it, but I never really told my parents.
They just thought your play practice went longer.
Well, we probably didn't stay that long, but as long as I got home before 12, I never got in trouble. But if I stayed out past 12 o'clock, my dad was at the doorstep, turned the porch light on.
Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah.
So what were you doing when you were out past 12?
That was after I was older, when I was dating.
Oh.
I was sitting somewhere parked in the car with your father.
Oh my word!
See, I know all Mimi's good gossip.
I did not know this.
Me either.
So did that ever happen with Daddy, or is that pre-Daddy?
No, she said with your father.
Yeah.
Oh, with your father, I didn't hear her say that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so tell us how you met Daddy. How you met Papa.
Oh, I know this story.
I met him when I was about 14, I guess, and it was at the water pump. We had to walk across the pasture to our neighbor's house that had a water well. We didn't have any water well in our house. We walked past the pasture to get water, and he would Edward and them, they lived in the other direction from this water pump, and they came there to get water also. And he would be there, and he would prime the pump for us, for me, you know, and pump the water. And that's where I first met him, yeah.
So you went there to get water for like cooking and
For
drinking.
everything.
So you had to go get for
Everybody to bathe?
yeah, you had to carry all that water for a bath.
Right.
Wow.
So how many times did you have to go back and forth?
I don't remember.
But I think they bathed, like several people bathed in the same water.
Oh, yeah.
How should be the last one?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you bathed once a week?
About once a week, yeah.
Wow. What about, okay, there was no electricity. So when you cooked, was it with wood?
We had a wood stove, yes.
And you had to cook, and that was all your heat and everything for the house?
We had a wood stove for cooking with a flat top and burners where you set your pots and pans on. It was metal, and it got really hot. And in the living room, which was a living room and a bedroom combined, there was another stove, just a big pot-belly stove, so to speak, and that was what heated us to keep the house warm, so to speak.
Mandy asked, when was the first time you got to wear pants? So answer that again.
When I was a sophomore in high school, I borrowed a pair of pants to wear on a field trip, and that's the first time I ever had pants out in public.
And you mentioned wearing the boys' jeans that was too small for them when you worked in the field. So how old were you when you like started working in the field, and what were you doing in the field? And did you do that like 6 days a week or 5 days a week, or tell us about that?
Well, when you got big enough to walk, you were pretty much expected to do your share of whatever needed to be done, whether it was in the house, doing dishes or sweeping or picking up. And in the field, we were probably a little bit older, like 6 or so, when we started working in the field. And
Well, what would you do in the field at 6?
Chop cotton, pick cotton.
What does chopping cotton mean? You
Get the weeds out
of it?
You get the weeds out of it, and when they plant cotton, they plant it like thick, and you take a hoe and you chop out part of that so it'll make
The bush will get bigger.
yeah, so it'll have more
In it, I would
more
think.
room.
Okay.
And that's when you first chop it. It's what you call chopping cotton. You chop it out like about 6 inches apart.
So did y'all do that Monday through Friday? Did you work on Saturdays too?
No, Saturdays and Sundays were our days off usually, unless we needed to. Sometimes we worked on Saturdays, never on Sundays.
So Emma and I had a question. We want to know more about how did you go from meeting Papa at the watering hole to getting married?
How long did you date? Tell us about the proposal.
What was your first date?
I was about between 14 and 15, I guess. We didn't really date. We just hung out together.
That's called talking.
Yeah, we call that talking.
You were
now.
talking.
And,
Would you do it just at the water well?
well, we had little parties in the community. The kids would just decide all to be at so-and-so's house on such and such day, and we would just get together and mostly just talk,
So you would hang as a group first.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Well, was it understood that you and Daddy were together then?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nobody hit on the other ones?
They were sort of paired off, you
Yeah.
know. Usually couples would be
How long did you date before he proposed? The first time.
the first time.
One
Probably
day, I
not too
think.
long. Probably about a year.
And
So
then
there's
he
more than
proposed
one
and you said
proposals?
no.
Wait, hold up. You were like 15?
And Papa proposed. He knew what he wanted.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, Doug, if someone proposed to me at 15.
So you dated. So Papa asked you to marry him at 1 year after dating,
Probably, yeah.
and you told him no.
Right.
How come you told him no?
Well, I just didn't want to get married at
Okay.
15 years old,
Okay.
you know. I don't really know that I had a reason other than that.
So when did he ask again? How old were you?
Every time we went out about,
So when did you finally say yes?
well, in 1945,
In 1945, and
Right.
that was before he was.
that was when I was in
After
nurses
he-
training, yes.
And after. What do you mean? Wait, just a minute, Matthew. And so after he came home from World War II,
Well, it was before the war was over.
before the war was.
He
over.
was home on leave,
Okay.
and I was in nurses training, and he just said, I'm ready to get married, you know.
Uh huh.
And I said, okay, you know, when? And we just set a date and made plans and got married. And I intended to stay in nurses training, and he intended to stay in the Marines. But about 2 weeks after we got married, the war was over. And
You mean marine biology?
when the war was over, he got out of the Marines, and I quit nurses training. And we just, you know, lived for each other. We thought we could live on love. Wouldn't need to work anymore. But that's when we got married, yeah.
Okay.
I have a question that's important to me, because I'm kind of Johnny comes lately when it comes to this family, you know. But from the first moment that I've seen you, that was 15 plus years ago, I immediately got an impression that you are a wonderful person of faith. How much did faith play, what role did it play in your life from your childhood until now?
What
Faith in Christ,
what part has faith
yeah, played in your life,
played in my life?
yeah.
An awful lot. I didn't really have the opportunity to go to church on a routine, regular basis, but I did go to church when I could, like get a ride with a friend or what have you. And then when my mother passed away, we started going to church on a regular basis, and that's when I became a Christian and joined the church and was baptized. And after that, I guess faith has been one of the strongest points of my life, is depending on the Jesus for being there to help out when you needed him. And I still have that faith. What did he ask?
Did you have twins?
Did I ever have twins in my?
Yeah.
No, we never had twins. We had one boy and 4 girls.
So one of them was Jeremiah.
No. Brenda. Mimi, Betty, Dee Dee, and Eddie.
Sandra and
I
Betty.
didn't know.
Got it.
Favorite moment of your life so far?
My favorite what?
Moment of your life. Top one, Mimi.
My favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those are hard for me.
I don't really know.
That would
My
be
very
hard.
favorite
That's a hard
one.
question, yeah.
What?
That's
That
a
would be
hard place.
hard.
There's a lot of good memories, but as far as a favorite one,
What about a funny story?
Or a funny moment or something.
a funny story, like what?
Of you and Papa, maybe.
Or when your kids were mischievous.
Ooh, yeah. When you're sneaking out.
When I was
No,
taking.
one
No.
of us.
Yeah,
When-
your
uh,
kids.
Tell
When
a
your
story
kids-
about Sandra, Betty, Eddie, me, or Dee
Something humorous that y'all did or
Mischievous.
mischievous?
Yes.
When
I
did
don't
they listen
remember
to
having
you
much
or
time for mischievous moments.
Mom brought a snake to school. That was mischievous.
Do what?
When Mom brought a snake to school and opened it.
Yeah, but I don't think I
She
knew
didn't
about
probably
it
know
at that
that.
time.
Oh.
I never knew about that at that time.
How about how the worst child, how Betty was always causing trouble, huh?
What?
She's not here to defend herself. Betty was always causing trouble, huh?
Sometimes. Sometimes she was not following the rules, let's put it that way. But the rest of them, all of them are pretty good kids.
Yes, yes.
What?
Did they tell stories to you, or you told stories to them? How many?
You mean, did I tell them, did I not always tell them the truth?
No.
Is that what you,
No.
Or did
or like,
Yes.
like tell you stories like a book story like that?
like reading books or like
Reading books and reading.
I always read books after I was old enough to read, but I don't remember my parents ever reading to me, like reading me childhood stories,
did
children's
you read
stories.
to your kids?
Did I read to them? I did, yes. That was
A couple of times.
a daily thing just about for my kids to read to them. I don't know if y'all remember it or not.
Mom, you have any other
What about
comments?
what would you want us to like as your legacy? Like when people talk about leaving a legacy, what would you want like for our grandchildren and your great grandchildren for us to like say like your grandma left it, your great grandma left this legacy behind?
What would I?
That means, Christine, can you interpret
Like,
that?
What would you want us to take from your life? What lesson could we share with our kids and what would you want us grandkids to take to share that you learned or something important?
I guess probably the most important thing would be, like Tiamir had said, to have faith and to trust the Lord to help you with your decisions, whatever they might be. Share your good times and bad times with the Lord, and ask Him for help if needed, and give Him thanks for the blessings, and just to be a good Christian.